Hello everybody, it's Nick here with Nick Tolman Music, and we're going to go ahead and continue our beginner guitar lesson series using Mel Bay's Modern Guitar Method Grade 1. Today we're going to be looking at page 12 in the book. We've learned 8 notes so far. We've learned notes on the first, second, and third strings, and at this point we're just using those notes. We're not learning any new notes today. There are going to be a couple differences in the exercises today. You're going to start to notice that a lot of these exercises now in the book are going to be actual songs, and that's really exciting. You're only a few pages into the book, but you're already playing actual melodies that you've probably heard before or recognized, which is really cool. But also today you're going to recognize that not only do you see notes on the staff that you're going to be doing, you're also going to see some chords written above. So like on this first exercise, you see a C, letter C written above. That's indicating that for that measure, the chord that would be played would be a C chord. Now we're not learning the C chord today. For now in the book, those chords are for teacher accompaniment. That means that the idea is that we're sitting in a guitar lesson and your teacher's going to play those chords while you play the melody, and you're going to see what it sounds like together. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and play the melody for you so you can hear what it sounds like, but I'm also going to provide you a teacher accompaniment. So I'll play the chords for you, I'll count you in, that way you can play along and you can see what it sounds like to play your melodies along with these chords. So it should be a lot of fun for you to be able to do that. The other thing is there's one other new concept that's going to be taught on this page, and that is pickup notes. A pickup note is any note that happens before the first measure of the song, before the first full measure of the song. So you'll see this down on the second exercise. You don't see it in the first exercise, but in the second one, we're in common time. If you haven't seen my video on the different time signatures, please check it out. I'll put the link above. But common time is the same as 4/4 time. It just means that there's 4 beats in every measure, that the quarter note is what gets the beat. You'll notice that there's like a little mini measure right at the beginning with just 2 notes, but that doesn't make sense, right? Because a measure should have 4 beats because we're in common time. That's because those 2 notes are pickup notes, right? We have 2 notes of pickup before the first full measure. And actually measure 1 in any song would be the first full measure, right? Those first 2 notes are not in a measure, they're just pickup notes. So that's how that works. So if I was going to count this song in, even though there's 4 beats in the song, what I would do is I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, bum, 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 and those notes are going to happen on 3, 4. That'll make more sense when we get into it, but just know that a pickup note is any note that happens before the first full measure of the song. It actually happens all the time. So it's not anything too crazy. It's not anything you need to like stress your brain out or anything. It's just that's what a pickup note is. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Ara Lee. So this is the first exercise in the book on page 12. And this is a pretty common folk song. I'll go ahead and play the melody for you. I'm going to set the metronome at 72. 1, 2, ready, play. Two, 3, 4. So there's our Ara Lee at 72. If you need to start slower and work your way up. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play the chords at 72. So if you've worked your way up, you can at least play the melody to at 72. Go ahead and play along with what I'm about to play. Here we go. I'll count us in. 1, 2, ready, play. Let's go ahead and hear it at 120. Okay, so here's a faster tempo. Here's what the melody sounds like at 120. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4, off. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and play the chords for you at 120, where we just played it, but then I'm also going to play them at 100, kind of an in-between level from 72 and 120. That way you can kind of work your way up and have some multiple options. Okay, so here's the chords at 120, where we just played. 1, 2, ready, play. Alright, if that's a little too fast for you, that's okay. Let's try it at 100. So here's the chords at 100. You can go ahead and play the melody along with 100. 1, 2, ready, play. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this next exercise. Now, it's going to utilize the pickup notes like we talked about earlier. There's actually another new thing on here that I failed to mention before, and that is ties. So you'll notice that there are some tied notes, which is essentially like kind of an arched line from one note to another note. Now, that can happen within a measure, but can also happen over measures, right? So whenever you tie two notes together, you're just essentially adding the length of the notes together. So if you had two half notes, you have a half note, which is 2 beats, and a half note, which is 2 beats, and you tied them together, you're just going to hold one note out for 4 beats, right? Now, if it started at the beginning of a measure, you wouldn't need to do that. You could just play a whole note, right? But maybe you want that to happen to go across the measure, right? And that's where ties really come in handy and where you see them in this song. So you'll see that you have a dotted half note like we had in our previous lesson, which is 3 beats. tied to a half note, which is 2 beats. That means you're going to hold a note out for 5 beats. Okay, so you got to really pay attention and count through those notes. You'll notice that in these lessons, I'm always physically counting out loud. If I'm not doing it, if I'm playing live, if I'm playing a gig, I don't count notes out loud. People would think I'm crazy, but I'm always counting those in my head, right? And making sure that they're held for the right distance. We also have a whole note tied to a half note. So a whole note 4 beats and a half note 2 beats, tie those together. You're gonna hold the note for 6 beats. Woo, all right. Watch out for those tied notes. Pickup note, here we go. Here's Red River Valley at 72. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2. 6. Alright, so you'll notice I counted those long notes in a couple different ways, kind of gave you some options there. I tend to kind of like to count them individual notes. So like if I have a whole note and a half note tied together, yes, that's going to be 6 beats long. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in my head, I kind of tend to like to count 1, 2, 3, 4 for the whole note, 1, 2 for the half note. So I'm keeping track of each individual note. If I have a dotted half note to a half note, I count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right? However it works, just make sure you're counting through all those beats and holding them out as long as you need to. So let's go ahead, here's the chords at 72. Now, you'll notice that the chords don't start until after the pickups, okay? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, bum, bum. You're going to play those notes and then I will come in there, right? So I'll actually play the pickup notes with you so that's not confusing, but then I'm going to play chords, okay? So I'll play the first 2 notes with you and then I'm going to go to chords. You keep playing the notes on the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Let's try it at 120. Here we go. You've slowly worked your way up to this tempo. You're not just like jumping right into it. But here we go. Here's the melody at 120. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, off. Okay? Here we go. Let's hear the chords. So here's the chords. If you've already worked up to 120 and you want to play along with these chords, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Cool. Alright, let's try that at 100. So maybe 120 was a little too fast for you to play along. Here's the chords at 100 so you can play along. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Alright, there you go. Thank you for tuning in to today's lesson. Please subscribe and stay tuned for our next guitar lesson.